Guys, and on today's video we have got BMW's most unprecedented M3. Yes, BMW went very unconventional with this one and they dropped a big V8 block in it. It was a naturally aspirated 4 litre with 420 bhp. Now at the time BMW had done something very controversial, as we were used to their straight sixes, but 15 years later we're here today and we're going to see whether what BMW did paid off or not, or whether you should buy one. So stay with us and we hope you enjoyed the video, guys. See, the roads are quite bad today. I don't know why everyone gives me an M3 when the roads are wet. You can't fully get the potential of this car, but don't worry guys, we'll try and capture an image for you of how this car is on a daily basis, how it's aged, what it's like inside, and why you should buy one before the prices increase and why they're going to increase. So let's start off with the engine. It's a 4 litre naturally aspirated V8. It's producing about 420 brake horsepower and 300 foot-pounds of torque. So it's a high revving screamer of a car. Now don't let this put you off, don't get me wrong, it is a brute of a car which revs to 8,300 rpm, but it's got enough torque to put her around town at 2,000 rpm and all you'll hear is the slight rumble of the V8. And surprisingly, when it's in comfort mode, it's really smooth. If I was sat in this and I didn't know any better, I just think it's a normal 3 Series. This is a 4-door, 400 brake horsepower car that you can daily. You can take it to the shop. It's got a decent sized boot. I think BMW, when they made this, there was a spanner in the works with this, and it was the first V8 M3. And the reason personally I think they did that was because at the time Audi had released the B7 RS4, and that was the 4.2 V8, and then we had the C63 with the notorious 6.2 AMG, and that was the V8 as well. So I think obviously as BMW's competitors at that time for the M3 were moving up to V8s, it was only right that they did too. In today's era, the M3s have got bigger, so the F80 is a lot bigger than this, and then the G series goes on to even increase slightly more. So in today's standard, it's not a massive car, but compared to what the E46 was, the changeover, a lot of enthusiasts kicked up a fuss about that. But I think the way BMW did it, they went down to every single little bit and they tweaked it and aimed it at the driver. This car, compared to a normal M car, you probably get 30-40% difference between an M car and a normal one. This car has 80-90% M car based features, which is a hell of a lot of features. So it shows you that this car was solely made for the driving experience. The E90 M3's German competitor is probably the C63, and that car is an absolute brute. It's just wild. Like, if I was to describe the car, I'd call it a brawler, because you never know what it's going to hit you with next, and it's like a complete utter maniac. Whereas this is an assassin. This is cool, calculated. It can be professional and civilized when you need it to be, but it can get the job done when you need it to. It does have a mighty fine job, because this car does not miss. This car does not miss at all. If you've driven an M car, you'll know BMW's M cars always handle well, and you're not scared to put the power down when you go through the bend. And this car's no different. I'd say this is probably one of the best handling M3s I've driven. We did drive the newer one lately, and that was a good handling car, but it was a bit too good, if you get what I mean. It was almost as if the car's doing most of the work. This, it's the perfect balance. It's got poise, it's got character. It can be the brute you want it to be when you need it to be. I mean, it's got a little MDM button here. That's an M Sport dynamic mode. You just click that, the suspension stiffens up, the steering wheel gets a little lighter, and the throttle response on this car is absolutely amazing. So it's got individual throttle bodies so that there's hardly any lag, unlike the new turbos you get. And let me tell you, that makes absolutely massive difference when you're on roads like this. Wow, just listen to that exhaust note. You can't beat a naturally aspirated V8. So the interior is a really nice place to be in. It's a lot more modern than most cars of this era. A lot of the gizmos and gadgets, so like all these buttons and stuff and the way it's set up, you'll still see them in the BMWs of today. So the dials and everything, there's not much difference. BMW always kind of stay with the same theme. In this specific model, you've got the extended leather trim, so you've got the leather here on the center console, you've got the leather on the underneath of the dash, the leather on the door cards, you've got a lot of nice leather here on the sides. It gives you a very premium feel, like you can tell you're in an expensive car. Another thing in the interior, which is probably one of the best parts of the interior, is the iDrive system. So not all M3s come with the iDrive system, but it's got the wide screen and there's a lot of usability in this, and this is one of the first cars to have the iDrive system, so it was a big rave at the time. For today's standards, it is a little bit dated, but if you get the facelift version, they are very similar to today's iDrive systems. It's almost identical. And even in these pre-facelift models, if you do want to get Apple CarPlay coded in, it's possible. So you're not really missing out on the creature comforts of today's cars. It literally has got all the normal stuff, like heated seats and cruise control and auto lights and stuff like that. The steering wheel is a very chunky wheel. We've retrimmed it in this nice suede with the M Sport stitching and the blue stripe. This is also a factory option which you can get, but this specific model didn't have that, so we've gone ahead and done that. Then you've got the nice gloss black piano trim across the dashboard. That was a real step up from the E46, as they had quite a basic level trim. But yeah, overall the interior is very modern for what it is, and you wouldn't feel out of place getting into one of these cars from a newer car. Now this specific car is in a manual transmission. They come in two types of transmission, so you get the manual 6-speed or you get the DCT 7-speed. This gives it a shorter gear ratio, so it's slightly faster acceleration. Now people do say, oh, an M3 should be a manual. The SMG obviously wasn't great, so following on from that, I do see why people would say that, but I have to say, in these two cars, a DCT is not bad at all. Don't let anyone put you off. Like, if you're gonna buy one, I'd say go test drive both, because there's no bad choice in this. It purely comes down to what you want. They're both great gearboxes. So these cars come in three types. We've got the 5-door Saloon E90 version, which we are driving today. This is the E91. BMW didn't actually make an M3 in an estate, but you can get custom built ones online which people have made themselves. Then you've got the E92. This is probably the most popular M3, and it's the Coupe version. And the final one is the E93, and this is the convertible version of the E90 series M3. Now, a few differences between the Coupe and the Saloon. The most obvious is the amount of doors they have. So a Saloon is obviously a 5-door and a Coupe's a 3-door. Another difference they have is the Coupes came with a carbon roof, whereas these didn't. But don't let that put you off, as there are guys out there, BMW specialists, who can retrofit a carbon roof. So you'll have an E90 Saloon, which is already red enough, with a carbon roof. The E90s are a little bit more expensive. The E91s, you can pick them up for around 15,000–16,000 pounds for a high mileage example now. Whereas one of these, you're looking at 22–23 minimum. Now when it comes to buying one of these, I highly recommend you go see as many as you can. They do have a few issues which are quite costly. They have a throttle body issue, which could cost you thousands, and you also have a rod bearing issue. So make sure you check when the rod bearings will last done, because that can be a costly issue. And if they do go on your car whilst you're driving it, your engine will go kaput. So that is definitely something you want to check out. Apart from that, there's not much difference. So it solely comes down to what you want. Personally, I'd take an E90 Saloon any day of the week. As you guys probably know, I am in love with E39 M5s, and that is my dream car. So this platform, the 4-litre naturally aspirated manual, it just goes perfectly with me, and this is what I imagine an E39 to be like, because obviously I haven't driven an M5. But yeah, you can't go wrong with this setup. Not beat the sound of a naturally aspirated V8. Just listen to that. It's absolutely beautiful. I own a V8 myself, and it's a BMW, but the way this screams is just something else. Another thing I really like about this car is the bonnet scoop's a big bulge. It's almost a muscle car. A lot of people probably think this is fake, but it's actually not. It's actually needed, as that is the induction prop. So you do get a sweet sound from the front. It's like an it's like an intake sort of suction noise. I mean, it just adds to that wow factor that a V8 brings you. And I know now big turbos and small engines are the rave, but feeling a naturally aspirated car gives you, you just can't beat it. Just that high revving V8, you just can't get enough of it. Now there is one little problem with the car, but when you buy an M3, you're not looking for fuel economy, are you? But in the real world, I mean, when you are buying a car, you do take that into consideration, and it's not the best. But then again, this makes up for it. And sooner or later, we're going to all be sat in hybrids anyway, so why not just make the most of what we've got? We're not going to get V8s like this no more. When your kids grow up, they're not going to be able to go out and buy a V8 unless they filthy rich and run it. So I feel like now is the time to buy these cars and make the most of them. So I'm going to sum up and give you the 5 reasons why I think you should buy one of these. Number 1 is at the price they're going for, starting at 15,000, going up to about 30,000 for a facelift Saloon. It's less than half the price of the new M3, which is 75 grand. And in my eyes, I've driven both of them, can't warrant paying £30,000 more for that car, because it isn't the better car. You're getting extremely good value for the money. The second reason I'd recommend buying one of these cars is, like I said, it still is modern for what it is. You've still got the interior, which is modern, and the exterior is not bad at all. It's aged very well to say it's a 15-year-old car. It still has the xenons, it still has the LED backlights, the quad exhaust, the wheels. You can get a different range of wheels. These wheels are the 18-inch ones. These ones are my personal favourite, but not everyone will like these. You can get the bigger size diamond cut ones, which are the ones probably most people will go for, and it does make it look a lot more modern and it's more in your face. The third reason I'd say buy one of these cars is because it is definitely, not just in my eyes but in a lot of people's eyes, it's the most driver focused M3 made. Literally BMW combed through everything they could and they made every single detail perfect so that the driver has the best time in this car. Literally, it takes one push of a button and you've gone from your normal, almost like a 320D, to one of the most crazy M cars I think BMW have ever made, and it's really that easy. Point number 4, this car's only going to increase in value, so I'm giving you some investment advice here. Forget all the forex trading and everything. This is what you want to put your money into. It's the last and only V8, and it's going to be very desirable in the future, as you won't be able to find a clean one. Number 5, the final and key reason you should buy this car is because of that big lump up front. Yep, the 4-litre V8 naturally aspirated engine. The feeling it gives you is just special. BMW took the E46 M3 and they bettered it, and they've made one of the most special cars you will ever drive. And that is a guarantee from me. You're not getting an M car which is better driven than this. And for that reason, I recommend for everyone out there, if you've got the money, I'd go for it. I wouldn't even bat an eyelid. Get out there, start looking for a good example and get it bought, because you will thank me in the future, as you're going to have the pinnacle of driving engineering, and once you own one of these you will truly understand what I mean. And on a serious note guys, if I had £25,000 today to buy a car, I would head straight out and I would buy myself one of these. And that's me being a very picky guy. I am very picky when it comes to cars and what I want, but this is definitely on the list of the top 5 cars I would get. So guys, I'm going to wrap the video up here. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you enjoyed the car as much as I did. I really am in awe with this car. It is getting dark now, so unfortunately I'm going to have to cut the video short, and it will give me some more time to enjoy this car before I give it back. But we'll catch you guys on the next episode. Thanks for watching guys, take care. With the high raspy, high revving, and let me tell you, BMW absolutely. Thanks for watching guys. We've got plenty of cars lined up to showcase in this series, but if there's anything you'd like to see, drop a comment below and let us know. And as always, take care and we'll catch you next time.